Well, school children in flood-damaged areas of KwaZulu-Natal have had to brave harsh conditions to get to school this morning. Torrential rains are still battering the province and more bad weather is forecast. Mnyandu is taking a look at this for us, and earlier he spoke to a number of people on the ground for the situation. Okay, Mnyandu, let's take a look. Listen at this. You've been speaking to a number of people in the course of the morning.
Hey, siphatheke kakhulu besimo sokuyisona nje njoba kunje asikwazi ukuhamba nezingane zethu ezinye ayile esikoleni lezi eziyawo ziyafosta ngendlela ukuthi kuyabaleka ukuthi ziye ezethu mina yami nje ayile esikoleni lesimo sokuthi ngeke ikwazi ukuwela endaweni kanje futhi nanokuthi ke mengabe kubuya imvula ayikwazi ukuphindela emuva sesiyacela nje kubantu abasiphethe ukuthi besilungisele ibridge ukuphela.
Well, that is the situation on the ground. We were in Zwelitsha, which is a township just outside Durban next to Verulam, where, we've witnessed learners, trying to navigate their way using a tree log, a tree that was toppled by torrential rains and floods that, took place on Saturday here in KwaZulu-Natal. But what we have seen since then is that the rain is gaining momentum, as Dudu mentioned in her intro, that a level 5 warning had been issued, with the Department of Okokta here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, sending out an alert to the public saying that, well, as from now going into midnight and possibly early hours of tomorrow morning, we will see an increased levels of rains that may result into localized flooding and disruption and destruction to property. They are warning those people who are living and staying, in floodplains, those people who are situated on the river banks, that they should be on a high alert, if needs be, they should vacate their places of residence, because with the momentum at which this rain is falling, it is expected that it will leave another trail of destruction here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. But what we saw in the morning, where kids, had to go through what they went through, going through a tree log as they make their way to school, was heart-wrenching, as most parts of the province still, tries to, recover from the floods that damaged a lot of infrastructure, including bridges and roads. But right now, I'm bringing into this conversation the spokesperson for the Department of Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs in the province of KwaZulu-Natal, Mngati. Thank you very much for your time. We see that you've issued a statement. The rain is persisting. What becomes your word out there to the public?
Yeah, well, we have activated our joint operation cluster where we work with all law enforcement agencies, South African Police Service, the Traffic Law Inspectorate, Directorate, the emergency services in various clusters and departments. And so the plan now is to monitor all areas that we have identified as high risk. Ethekwini Metro is one of the areas that are likely to be affected, as well as Uku District, Potchefstroom and the surrounding area, as well as Ilembe District, towards Mkhanyakutu District in the far north of the province. So we have urged our communities to cooperate, to work with us, to adhere to the safety measures that we have put out in place. Those that are living near the river banks or low-lying areas, they must be ready to be evacuated should our teams see it not safe for them to continue to be there. We understand that we are still trying to recover from the last weekend floods, but now we are hit by this heavy rains. The Department of Education had already issued a memorandum alerting all the principals to release learners earlier, and also the staff So this will also help us as part of our plan to ensure that we save life. The traffic police will also close some of the roads. Some have already been flooded due to the rains that have started in the early hours.
Talking about roads that have been flooded during the early hours of this morning, you are seeing that the rain is gaining momentum. Any talks with the National Department for COGTA to declare KwaZulu-Natal once again as a disaster area, and what becomes immediate relief measures that will be employed to try and bring back the situation to normal?
Yeah, well, over the week, since we have been experiencing these heavy rains, MEC Bongwes Tolemloy for KZN COGTA has been in talks with the National Minister of COGTA, Minister Mnyandu. We're also finalizing all the assessment that we've been doing. It's unfortunate that while we are busy with doing assessment, it's continued to rain and it's likely to cause more damage. So that delays the whole process because we want to consolidate so that we can estimate how much it will cost to repair all the damaged infrastructure. But obviously, the talks with National are still underway. The Premier is also involved. So the Minister, once we consolidated all the costs suffered in the infrastructure, household and all those things, I think that will make an informed decision by the national government whether to declare KZN as a disastrous province or not.
What we've noticed over the years, or whenever such incidences occur, is that people that are building structures on riverbanks and in floodplains, they will vacate the place during rains and floods, but only to come back once the sun starts shining again. So what becomes your message to those people, because they're adding salt to the wound, as you know that they become prone to these disasters?
Yeah, well, if you look at the area of Zwelitsha where we've been, it's an area that is built along the riverbank and puts people's life in danger. We believe that some of these incidents could have been avoided should people adhere to our tips. But it's also something that we are continuing to do, engaging all the municipalities, traditional leaders that are also responsible for allocating people land. So to encourage them not to build in a floodplain or in low-lying areas where their lives will be at risk. It is an ongoing effort, but it also it's a consultation process because honestly speaking, it is not easy to just relocate people overnight. You have to engage them and then make them understand why they should vacate. Some have built proper houses and they've spent their money. It's understandable. However, it put their life at risk, and we do encourage people not to build illegally in places where they see an open land. But those land have already been identified as high-risk area for flooding and all those, including in rural areas. In the area of Umsing along Utugela River, we've dealt with a similar situation last week where a number of houses were flooded because they simply built next to the river bank of Utugela River. When the river get flooded, all those people were affected, and unfortunately they lose their valuables, they lose their furniture along the process, and most devastating is that there is a loss of life also that comes with that. So we do encourage people to take into consideration the issue of flooding when they build houses.
Thank you very much, Mngadi.
No, thank you so much.
Well, that is Bongiseni Mngadi, who is the spokesperson for the Department of Cooperative Government and Traditional Affairs here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. You know, lambasting those people that have chosen and elected to build and erect structures along floodplains and riverbanks. He's saying that most of the destructions we have witnessed in the province over the past weekend and in other incidences where the province has experienced floods could have been avoided if people adhered to instructions and not grab land as they please whenever they see a vacant land. So right now the rain is gaining momentum here in the province of KwaZulu-Natal. An alert has been issued. We are on the ground monitoring the situation. It's unfortunate that this happens on the first day of school as the calendar year for 2024 starts for pupils and learners in the province of KwaZulu-Natal to do.
Ntando, Mnyandu, thank you very much for that comprehensive update. You stay safe out there.